We all enjoy the changing of the seasons. Fall is a special time to be thankful for our families and many blessings. It is also a great time, though, to review your insurance coverages. Alpha Insurance and hometown agent Jeff Nee can help you personalize your insurance needs. The more you protect, the more you save. With helpful customer service teams right here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi, you can count on Alpha to provide the insurance plan that provides the protection that you need. For all your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call Alpha agent Jeff Nee or drop by his office at 202 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 101 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And remember, with Jeff Nee, the more you protect, the more you save. Jeff Bagwell of Honey Hole Fisheries right here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama is a professional biologist who specializes in lake management. If you are interested in helping build the pond or lake of your dreams, or if you need help deciding if property you own is a good location to build a pond, you can contact Jeff Bagwell at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Contact him today and let him help you build the lake or pond of your dreams, or also stock your pond or lake with fish that you most desperately need. How would you like to live where you love in the state of Alabama? Whether it is you're upsizing, downsizing, retiring at the beach, or relocating for your job, then you are going to want to contact Celeste Hagler, owner of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, with brokers in Tuscaloosa, Orange Beach, and Huntsville. They can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is 205-861-5698, and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals anywhere across the state of Alabama. This is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, you can see that I've got the Auburn stuff behind me, and that is because we are about to be joined by a former Auburn National Champion head coach and then two-time defensive coordinator for North Carolina. He is also currently an SEC analyst for the SEC Network. Head coach Gene Chizik joins us on this edition of the Stingray Show to talk about his career down at Auburn and to preview some of the college football playoff matchups that begin this evening right after this.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, aka Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you inside the Friday edition of the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you as the college football playoff matchups are upon us. We've got one tonight, and then we've got the rest of them tomorrow. Tonight will be Alabama and Oklahoma. And the reason that I have the Auburn stuff decked out behind me is because we are about to be joined by a former national champion head coach in Gene Chizik. And he's not only did Coach Chizik have a stop there at Auburn, he was also the head coach of the Cyclones of Iowa State between 2007 and 2008. What are some of your memories of Gene Chizik before we bring him on?
Coach Chizik, he's kind of got that 80s vibe to him. He always kind of had that cool vibe going about him. And that's what I always liked about him. Coach Chizik just seemed like a straight shooter.
Yeah.
And I was always impressed. I always felt like Coach Chizik had the deck stacked against him at all of his stops, and he always found success at all of his stops. And I don't care who you are, what line of work you're in, you respect somebody, even if that's happened once, the deck stacked against them, and they beat the odds, you respect them. But, he was at Iowa State, and he came to Auburn, and a lot of Auburn fans weren't happy with it. National championship later, everyone's happy and smiles. I mean, you just have to smile at someone who beats the odds, and Gene Chizik did it at a super high level.
All right, so Heath, let's not keep Coach waiting any longer. Please help us welcome to the Stingray Show the former Auburn and North Carolina defensive coordinator, as well as head coach there of the Cyclones in Ames, Iowa, Gene Chizik. Coach, how are things with you this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for the kind words. Everything is great. How could it not be? The college football playoffs getting ready to kick off, so I think everybody's excited about it. I know the folks down in Tuscaloosa are chomping at the bit to get a rematch in this game. But everything is great on this front, and college football is the excitement of college football is underway starting 7 o'clock tonight.
Coach Jackie Sherrill said this years ago, and it always got me thinking. I was a young reporter straight out of college, and he said, "You don't see old coaches in college football. Football is a young man's game." He said back then, the Bobby Bowdens and Joe Paternos are a rarity. He goes, it's hard to find somebody over the age of 60 doing this job. And that always got me thinking. But every time we see these coaches, whether it's current or former that come on our show, young or old, they still all have the fire and they still want to keep doing this. Coach, does it eat at you that you're not on the sidelines? Because you were good at what you did.
Well, first of all, thank you again for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Guys, I look back on my career. I retired 2 years ago, and I was very blessed. I was very blessed to be around a lot of great coaches that worked side by side with me. I was blessed to be around a lot of incredible players, probably some of the best in the history of the game. Going back to my days when I was the defensive coordinator at Texas, and we won the national championship in 2005 when Vince Young was the quarterback. And so many, we had, our whole secondary had just about first round draft picks back there. And there's just so many great players that really, they're the reason. Great coaches that, were aligned with me, and great players that we were able to be around, afforded me to have an incredible, incredible career. And look, if you're not in the Nick Saban tree, and you can say you played in 5 conference championship games and 2 national championship games and won them, and you weren't under the Saban tree, that's hard to find. And that's me. And the only reason I say that is not to pat myself on the back, but I don't have any regrets when I look back at stepping out of the game 2 years ago and being good with where I was at and what I was done. I'm not chasing anything. There's nothing out there that I was trying to accomplish that I didn't get accomplished. It was 30 plus years of a lot of grind and a lot of hard work. And to y'all's point, look, this has become a young man's game. And could I have continued to do it? I've had opportunities since I got out to go back and do it again. Will Muschamp's a great example. Will's a little bit younger than me, but he's going to go back and give it a whirl at Texas. Some guys, they just got to stay in it. I'm probably a little bit different than that. I love the competition. I love it. And I love staying connected to it doing TV, but I don't have to be in it. There's nothing that I regret. There's nothing that I'm still trying to chase. So, me stepping away from this, being with my wife, traveling with my wife, doing things with my family and my kids, my son's in coaching now. Those are the things that are important to me at this point in time in my life. So, there's nothing left for me out there to continue to chase. Do I miss aspects of it? Of course I do. But it was time for me to hang it up.
Right.
Mm.
So, Coach Chizik, I have always wondered, what is the origin of your last name, Chizik?
Well, it's my grandparents were my dad's side. They were from Ukraine,
Okay.
and so I've got a lot of people in my lineage from the Ukraine, Russian, even over in Israel. Kind of a mixture of all of that, and then that's my last name. But he married an Irish Catholic lady, so it was kind of a unique mix. But yeah, the origin Chizik is Ukrainian slash Russian from my dad's side.
Gotcha. And that
Coach,
is that is rather unique.
Very.
Coach, I'm still in this joke. I'm half Scottish, half Irish. Half of me wants to get drunk. The other half doesn't want to pay for it. But um,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
uh,
Uh,
I stole that from a comedian. I've got Native American Italian in my family. That explains my hair and my skin. But Coach, go back to football, and you touched on it. Um, you're outside that saving tree, and you accomplish so much, and that is a super rare thing. And there's nothing for you to chase. You've done it all. You've done it at a high level. Not only you did it once, you did it twice with 2 national titles. So with that, what do you miss the most about coaching?
I miss the players, guys. Matter of fact, I
Mhm.
was I was on the phone with one of my former players actually 2 nights ago, and he said, "Coach, you going to jump back in?" And they always ask me that. I was like, "No, I'm really, really content, really happy with what my life looks like right now." But if I look back and I reflect on, it's really interesting, guys. The first part of my career, I was in it for the championships, the wins, the rings, the watches. I wanted it all. I wanted the money. I wanted everything that college football had to offer 30 years ago, and I was very driven in that regard. And I shifted my focus probably about 6 to 8 years into my career. I really started to understand that God gave me an opportunity to have impact on young guys, and I really started shifting my focus to let this be about the players. Let this be about you being, the kind of role model that can make an impact on these guys for the rest of their life, being great husbands and being great fathers and being, just great family men and God literally gave me the opportunity to do that, and I was able to see that. And once I saw that, and once I saw the importance of that's why I'm doing this, that was my purpose in coaching, then everything became player focused for me. Everything that I did, it wasn't about necessarily all of my focus being on the winning, and that's all that mattered. Because what I found out was that when you shift your focus to what really mattered, and that was the players, and pouring into the players and having impact on the players, making them the best version of themselves so that they could succeed in their life. That's when my career really started to take off, and it took off
Mhm.
quick. It was, I was a Stephen F. Austin one day, and a couple years later, I'm the defensive coordinator at the University of Texas, winning the national championship. So it was a kind of a meteoric rise, but I still feel like looking back and reflecting on it, it was because I shifted my focus to the players. So that's a long way of answering what I miss the most about it. I miss the players.
Coach, I'm going to do a quick follow up to that. I know Steven's got a question for you, but we had Houston Nutt on the show, and Coach Nutt's been on the show several times, and I've always enjoyed it. And back when I was a young media member, I thoroughly enjoyed interviewing him. But he talked about we asked him kind of the same thing. Kind of like, what do you miss? And he just talked about a lot of his former players are now coaches, and he said they're in the NFL, they're in college, they're in high school, and he said I get calls every week, especially during the season, from former players that are coaches now. And he said I love those calls because he said many of the calls start off because like, Coach, I'm sorry. I get it. I get it now what you were trying to teach me. I get it now what you're trying to show me. Do you have one of those stories, or can you share one of those stories with us of a former player calling you that might be in coaching and saying, Coach, I now get what you were trying to show us, do to us, help us, bring us along, mature us, nurture us. Can you share one of those stories for us?
Yeah, it happens all the time, guys. It's actually part of the cool part about this business. So I had a young man that played defensive back for me at Central Florida. He ended up being a second round draft pick, played 9 years in the league, and he was a great player for us. But I was on him. I rode him day and night because he hated going to school. He did not want to go to school. He loved ball, but he did not love school. Now, he ended up graduating, but I mean, I railed up and down on him. I mean, every day. And it was just a brutal back and forth between me and him. And I was hard on him. I was relentless because I wanted him to get a degree. I mean, he didn't understand the importance of it, but I did. And so then subsequently, he goes into coaching, and he called me one day, and he literally out of the clear blue said, Coach, man, I apologize. I am so sorry. I just didn't see it. He goes, now I can't get any of my dudes to go to class. He said, so I'm doing what you did to me. And we laughed about it, but it's funny, it comes for full circle. And that's what is incredible about having and doing this profession. I mean, the guys that I coached over the years, I live here in Auburn. I had a great player that played for me here. He was really has become one of my dear friends and played, 7 or 8 years in the league, got done, moved back to Auburn. Him and his wife and my wife hang out. It's an incredible relationship business, right? And those are the things that you love. And I've got a lot of guys that are in coaching as well now. And, I spend half of December helping these guys get new or different jobs. You know how this profession has become literally a transient, not just for the players but for coaches. I mean, they're firing guys every 2 years. So I'm helping guys get jobs. I'm helping guys try to get better jobs. Some just trying to get jobs because they got let go for whatever the reason. So that's kind of where I've shifted my focus now, is to help all the young guys that I coached in the past who decided to go into coaching. I really try to, do my due diligence in helping those guys and their families relocate. And I was just texting with some coaches this morning, trying to get some guys in on some different jobs this morning. So again, it all goes back to relationships. And, that's what makes this profession great, is the thousands of relationship you have with guys over the years.
So, Coach, I do want to ask you, you talked a lot about your coaching legacy. How did that opportunity ever come about? And when did you know that coaching was going to be a profession for you?
Well, I've always loved football, and when I got out of college, I was a high school football coach, and the way that happened was, um, the gentleman that happened to be the defensive coordinator for me at my high school had now become a head coach, and he wanted me to come and join him on his staff coaching. And of course, I jumped all over it. I wanted to be the linebacker coach, and I loved every minute. I just got out of college, so I was ready to go. And we're going into the season, so I went through spring practice with him, and I'm the linebacker coach. And we're about 2 weeks out from the season starting, and the head coach calls me and says, "Hey, our defense coordinator's leaving." And I said, shoot, this late in the game? He said, yeah, he's leaving. And I said, wow. I said, are you taking over the defense? He said, no, you are. And I said, what? And I said, I'm not prepared. I just got out of college. I said, I can coach the linebackers, but I can't run the whole thing. I don't know enough. He goes, you'll be fine. So that's how and it was at the highest classification in the state of Florida, where as you well know, ball in Florida, football in Florida's big, and
Yeah.
it's got it's got some great talent and things of that nature. And we were in the highest classification, so I got thrown in to the coaching world and the coordinator world the second I got out of college, inadvertently, I might add. And that's how I started my career. And then from there, what happened was I met some coaches from Clemson, and when they were down there recruiting our area, and then Danny Ford gave
Yeah.
me the incredible opportunity to come there with him when he was the head coach at Clemson, and that kicked off my college career. But I always knew I wanted to go into coaching. I loved the game. I always felt like it was something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to stay connected to it and be around it. And once I got into the coaching world, tasting that in high school, I said, "Yep, this is it. This is for me." So, haven't looked back ever since. And there's not one stop that I made anywhere along the way that I regret or I would do different. Um, and that goes along with turning down a lot of jobs that I didn't take.
Right.
I feel like God gave me great discernment on where to go next, and it all worked out for me. Good, mostly good. Some tough lessons and tough stops, but mostly good all the way through.
Coach, one of those really positive and good I want to talk about. Let's fast forward to 2006, the Rose Bowl between Vince Young and Texas versus USC and Reggie Bush. Talk about that experience and helping the Longhorns win a national championship under Mac Brown.
Yeah, that was a great experience for me. I had left Auburn, and I had left Auburn in 2004 when we were undefeated, and we didn't get a chance to play for the national championship.
Right.
And that year that we were at Auburn, that was my third year, and our guys really understood our defense. We had the number one scoring defense in the country, and so obviously, you kind of get recruited by a lot of different people. And at that point in time, I had some NFL options and I had several different college options. But Texas seemed to be kind of the logical next step. So I took that job and we went undefeated. And there I'm looking up in the Rose Bowl in January, playing in the game that we felt like we were good enough to play in and should have played in the year before at Auburn when we were undefeated, but we didn't get that opportunity. So it was kind of a surreal moment. I remember standing at midfield with Mac before the game, looking on both sides and looking at all the NFL dudes on both sides. It'd be kind of like similar to way LSU was several years ago when they play Alabama 2019, and you're looking at all the both sides are just loaded with incredible players.
Oh, yeah.
And but it was a great game. The first half, defensively we played well. I think USC at the time, if I'm not mistaken, was averaging 50 points a game, averaging. And we went in there in the first half. We did well. I think that we were up like maybe 12-10 at halftime, something to that effect. And then they just came out the second half and we couldn't stop them. But we got a huge stop at the end, got the ball back to our offense. And of course, as you know, Vince Young's one of the most incredible college football players in the history of the game. He took the game over and we were able to win it. So I was very blessed to be a part of an incredible group of young men and coaches alongside of us and win the first national championship I was ever a part of, which was a surreal moment. And especially after coming and, really struggling with, do I leave Auburn? Do I not leave Auburn? We were undefeated. We were going to have another great defense coming back.
Right.
But I made the move and it panned out to be, again, the right move. Just, for the fact that we were able to go undefeated and win it all that year. And just really appreciative for all the people that gave me the opportunity.
Hmm. Coach, when did you know? Two questions here. When did you know that you were good at football or love football? And who were some of your first favorite players?
Well, I fell in love with football back when I used to sit on my dad's lap when I was about 4and 5 years old. You remember the old NFL games where get the Vikings and the Packers and it's cold out and they're breathing you can see their breath when they
Yep.
breathe. There wasn't no indoor arenas to play in, right? It was outdoors, it was muddy, and it was wet, and it was cold or snowing. Man, I just remember those days sitting with my pops watching those games, and he loved football. And every Sunday, that was what we did. We watched football together, and I fell in love with the game. And being born and raised in Florida, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers weren't around at the time. I was a Miami Dolphins fan, so I mean, I can go down the list of my favorite players of the Dolphins, starting with Bob Greasy and Marlon Briscoe and Larry Zonka and Jim Kick and I mean, I can Bob Baumhauer. I mean, I can go down the whole list of the defensive guys. Nick Bonacani, all those guys. I mean, you couldn't peel a Miami Dolphin piece of clothing off of me. I was going to wear my hat and my sweatshirt when it was cold and my T-shirt when it was hot. So, Miami Dolphin, those days of the Miami Dolphins, they were my team. So, just fell in love with the game and everything about it. Loved it, and that's kind of what made me start begging my parents to start letting me play before I was even allowed. But just loved the game from that point on. You know how you have those memories when you're young with your dad. Those were great memories for me.
Mm.
So, Coach, let's talk about the present and let's transition to the college football playoff this evening. Norman, Oklahoma. It is going to be the rematch of Alabama and Oklahoma. It is going to be rather breezy there in Norman. Break this game down for us and how you see it playing out.
Well, guys, I think it's going to be really interesting. It's simple. Let's go back and look at the last game, right? The reason Alabama lost the game is turnovers, the inability to run the football, and there were some special teams miscues that were big that I don't think a lot of people remember. If you remember that game, there was a couple of missed field goals. One was a chip shot, 36-yard field goal missed by Alabama. And then there was a 46-yard punt return that set up the first score by Oklahoma. Because you got to remember, Oklahoma has struggled to score points. And if you go back and you look at their last three SEC matchups, they're averaging 18 points a game offensively. Only 21, a little over 21 in against SEC opponents on the year. So they're struggling offensively, right? So this game came down to turnovers, and you can look at the 87-yard pick six to Eli Bowen early in the game. That was a 14-point swing. So that's what it was, right? So if Alabama's going to go in there and win, a couple of things got to happen. Number one, they just need to protect the football, which generally speaking, they do. They
Right.
don't turn the ball over. However, let's go back to the SEC championship game. There was a punt blocked, right? A punt blocked and an interception. So you go back to special teams and you go back to turnovers. Those things can't happen in this football game, especially on the road.
Right.
Those are the things that happened last time they played. Can't happen on the road. So they're getting healthier. I think the fact that Alabama has Josh Cuevas back is huge. I think he was one of their leading receivers the last time they played. I think he brings some inline blocking, the physicality. I think he brings a lot to the table. And look, you can't argue that Alabama was depleted in the SEC championship game with the number of people that they had out, right? And I won't go down all the list, but Josh Cuevas was one of them. And having him and a guy like Jam Miller, only to name a couple back, I think it matters because the running game does matter. I don't think Alabama has to run for 200 yards to win the game, but they do have to run the ball at times when they need to run the football. And they
Right.
were just they just were they couldn't get it going in the SEC championship game. The longest run was 5 yards. So the ability to run the football some, protect the football, make sure that you don't have those special teams miscues. Because I like Alabama's defense. I think they hold them in the game. I think they're the X factor. I think the
Right.
last time they played, they were great against Oklahoma, and Oklahoma struggled, but they gave up 212 yards. I mean, Oklahoma was 3 of 13 on third down. So I think Alabama's defense is going to play well. I think they're getting healthy. I think that they're going to be able to, match the defensive stops It's the ability for Alabama to hit some explosive plays, run the football a little bit, but more importantly, protect it, because they will get plenty of opportunities to get the ball and do something offensively because of the way Alabama's defense will play.
So, Coach, who are you going with, Alabama or Oklahoma, moving on to take on Indiana in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, I'm going with Alabama. I think it's hard to beat them twice. I know it's on the road. I think you're looking at a team that's hungry. I think that they're going to be, fighting and clawing and scratching to redeem themselves from the performance they put on in Atlanta. And there's multiple reasons that they're going to be motivated. That would be one. The second one would be they're, avenging the loss to OU the last time they played, and just the fact that everything is on the line. And I'm really impressed with Kalen DeBoer, because when things are on the line and he's in big games, most of the time, dating back to his, head coaching experiences at Washington, he's going to find a way to win. So I believe Alabama's going to be hungry. I believe that they're going to be healthier, and their mindset's going to be just what it needs to be to go into Norman and get the victory. It's not going to be an easy one. It's going to be a dogfight, but I believe that they're going to be able to take this one.
Gotcha.
Coach, real quick question about the game. One thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, but I think could be a factor, and I want to pick your mind on this. Wind's going to be blowing around 17 miles an hour with wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. How does that change anything? I mean, I know that changes a little with the passing, not much, but kicking and special teams, that changes a lot.
Yeah, it changes a lot. You're exactly right. And going back to, I said that Alabama's defense is the X factor, and I believe they are, because I think that people don't talk about them enough in this game. But special teams is going to be enormous. This could be, again, a huge defensive battle, right? Well, how do you win defensive battles? What's the X factor in defensive battles? Is the special teams. It's the field position. It's being able to not give up, 46-yard punt returns, but now punting into the wind, field goals into the wind. Does that change your fourth down, mentality right now? It's 4th and 3. Normally I would kick it. Well, the wind's brutal right now, and this 36-yard field goal becomes extremely exponentially, difficult. Now, do I go for it on 4th and 3? Things of that nature. So I think the wind is going to be a huge factor in the game in terms of decision making, especially when it comes to fourth down decisions, field goal decisions, but also field position decisions as well. So that's why I say, going into this game, for Alabama to win it, special teams has got to be different. They got to be better than they have been on special teams, and they can't turn the ball over. Which, again, you hang the ball up in the air on some of these deep balls. You give these DBs a chance to run under it and pick it. So I think it's a factor all the way around in the game for both sides.
And, Coach, my final question for you. We see it a lot in college basketball, but we're here in the 12-team playoff. The group of five got into the playoffs. Here recently, Cincinnati did not do so well against Alabama. Boise State lost last year. If we are going to have an upset of the group of five tomorrow, which team do you feel like has the best shot? Is it James Madison over Oregon, or is it Tulane over Ole Miss?
Well, that's a great question, Steve. I don't think either one of them have a shot. But if you're going to
Okay.
put a gun to my head and ask me which one, I'm going to have to go with Ole Miss. And the only reason I would say that is because of the turmoil, right? And the question marks, right? So, what is Pete Golding, who I think, by the way, is one heck of a football coach? What's he going to be like in his first game as a head guy, right? What is that going to be? What effect is that going to have on the defensive preparation going into this? He got pulled in a million different directions over the last couple of weeks, right? We saw what happened with DJ Durkin at Auburn when his first game as the head coach / defensive coordinator was against Vandy. And that was a defense we didn't recognize at Auburn. Vandy went up and down the field. Now Vandy is a good offense, and we know that. But those are the question marks you'd have to have. I think this is a great first game for Pete Golding. But if you got to say absolutely which one has the best chance, Tulane's at least can look back at the game they played previously, say, what did we do good? What did we do bad? How do we have, they have a way to troubleshoot going into the game. James Madison doesn't have that. So you got a coaching change, you got a little bit of chaos, you got Lane not there, with the offense, and you got Pete Golding in his first game as a head coach. What will that look like? So I don't think Tulane has much of a chance at all, but if you say which one has the best chance, I would say Tulane.
Okay.
Okay, Coach. We'll briefly touch on this, and then I got one more question. Texas A&M. No one's talking about them. They had that last loss. They had this undefeated season, last game of the regular season. They lost to Texas. No one's talking about A&M in this playoff. I think that is a great thing for A&M. How do you feel about A&M heading into this playoffs? And is it a good thing that no one's talking about you?
I think so. I think Mike Elko eats it up. I think that he wants to be one of these guys that's kind of an outlier that nobody's really talking about. And think about it, guys. It's amazing on the old adage, "What have you done for me lately?" Because they were the hottest thing that everybody was talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, we would do shows every week, and people were, listening for the college football playoff rankings, and the big cry was, "Why is Texas A&M not number one?" I mean, I heard that all the way through the end of November. Then they have a hiccup. They run into a buzzsaw at Texas. They get beat by Texas, and now all of a sudden they're kind of an outlier, right? That's how fickle we are. That
Yes.
that's that's what is literally comical about us. I mean, I got to include me, the media, right? Like these guys are this, these guys are that. They lose a game at home, and now they're an afterthought. I think Mike Elko loves it. I think this is a great matchup. To be honest with you, I love the matchup with Miami. I think this is perfect because Miami's playing the best football of the year. They deserve to get in based on the way they finished the season. And if A&M can beat Miami, I think you're looking at a football team that has a chance to go the distance potentially and play for it all. It'll be interesting to see what this Miami game looks like. I think Texas A&M's going to have kind of a healthier team than they did at the end of the year. I know Le'Veon Moss will be back, their stud running back, and they've had time to rest. They've had time to regroup. They're going to have to deal with Miami's passing game, but A&M has an incredible pass rush. Them and Oklahoma have 41 sacks on the year, and Miami doesn't give up sacks. This Miami team goes as Carson Beck goes. When he doesn't have a good game and he turns the ball over, they lose. That's what happened in the two losses they had this year. So I think this is a great game. It's at home for A&M. The place will be cranked up, and this will be a good opening game for them. But I think they'll take Miami and get to the next part of the bracket.
Coach, my last question, I'm going to make it about you. You talked about being a Dolphins fan growing up. My question was going to be, did you ever get to meet Don Shula? And who are some of your all-time favorite coaches, whether you worked with them or looked up to them or read books about them or just thought the world of them when you were a kid? Who were some of your favorite coaches, and did you get to meet Don Shula?
Yes, I did get to meet Don Shula. Matter of fact, I became really good friends with his son, Mike, who you guys know very well there in
Yep.
Tuscaloosa. I love Mike. Mike's always been a good friend of mine. And some of the coaches that I've looked up to, the number one guy that I still is just amazing to me. There was a couple that were incredible. Tom Landry to me was always, I mean, how could you not be, right? When you were
Right.
growing up and loving
God's
NFL
coach.
football. Yeah, 100%. And so you got Tom Landry. I've always loved Tony Dungy. Of course, I've met Tony. I used to go down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they were rolling there, with all those great teams he had. And I really admired the way Tony handled his business, the way he handled his players. Just in a profession that can get kind of crazy, he always seemed to have that real steady, just kind of really even keeled personality. That always impressed me. I always loved Bill Cowher. I love this
Oh, yeah.
fire, defensive dude that just was, incredible with, his energy and the way he was with players and the players loving him. He was always a standout to me too. But if you just ask me off the top of my head, Those were three of my favorite. And then the last one I'm going to say, you might chuckle a little bit, but he's the one that opened the Tampa Bay Buccaneer franchise, which I became a Bucks fan my entire life. And he was the first coach, and that was John McKay. I thought
Yeah.
he was a hilarious guy. He just he was the greatest at the one-liners. But man, he started that franchise at Tampa and then brought it to a NFC championship years later. And I remember all those guys, Doug Williams, Ricky Bell, all those draft picks that came there. But the Leroy Selman and his brothers that ended up coming there. But he was another one that I looked up to and actually got a kick out of a lot of times, especially when they weren't winning and they were 0-26. So he was entertaining to watch for sure.
Coach, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. Are you going to be in studio this evening talking about and breaking down the games tonight and then tomorrow?
No, Steve, I'm not. I will. I'm going to be a fan, watching it right in front of my TV like everybody else, and loving every minute of it.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
Coach,
I
go
I
ahead.
was going to squeeze one thing in. Coach, with you being a fan like us, I asked this question to Coach Nutt earlier this week. If you could make a Mount Rushmore of college football coaches, who would you put on there?
Well, for sure, Nick Saban. I mean, that would be the no-brainer, right? You'd have to put a Lou Holtz on there. Um, I think you would have to put a Bo Schembechler on there.
Mm-hmm.
I think off the top of my head, those three stand out for sure. I'd have to do some more digging on that, but those three would definitely be three of the key figures. Um, this one might be a little crazy, and it just popped into my head. But look at the Barry Switzers of the world at Oklahoma with
Coach
what
Holtz
they
said that as
did.
well.
Barry Switzer is an iconic college football guy. Darrell Royal would have to be one you'd put up
Mm-hmm.
there as well with his 3 national championships at Texas. So I guess it holds five, doesn't it? It's five, right? I think I
Four.
just named five. So there you go.
Yeah. So
So, Coach, look, man, enjoy being a fan tonight for Alabama and Oklahoma, and then all of the playoff games tomorrow. Merry Christmas to you
yes.
and yours, and we would love to catch up with you in the spring to talk more about your career in coaching there at Auburn and other places as well.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on, and y'all have an amazing holiday.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Coach. You
Coach.
do the same.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All
Merry
right.
Christmas, Coach.
Merry Christmas.
All right, so Heath, that was awesome. We really do want to thank Coach Gene Chizik for joining us this morning right here on the Stingray Show. This has been an absolute blast. And Heath, I've got to be honest with you. He was an underrated coach, and everybody, like you talked about, did not like the coaching hire of Gene Chizik at Auburn because he did not have a winning record. But who got the last laugh? Gene Chizik, because he brought them that natty.
I didn't realize this until Coach Chizik started talking about it, but Coach Chizik was never in the royalty trees. He talked about how he wasn't in the Saban coaching tree, and all these coaches out of the Saban coaching tree. Whether it be Kirby or Elaine or whoever, Jimbo. All these guys had this great success and won national titles, or did this or got close to it. He wasn't in that.
No.
And so, that's kind of a big thing, your coaching tree, because when you're trying to get hired somewhere, they're like, oh, he was under Bo Schembechler. Oh,
Right.
he was under Lou Holtz. Oh, he was under Jimmy Johnson. Oh, he was under Nick Saban. Like, that's a big deal. And, he didn't really have that coaching tree. I mean, Danny Ford, who did win a national title at Clemson,
Right.
but, Danny Ford got fired at Arkansas, and it was not a nice farewell off to his retirement. So, I mean, he's been fighting the odds
Right.
all the way up And even people doubted him when he got hired at Auburn, and then he won, and he won at a high level.
Heath, you know why they doubted him? And this is not a knock on Coach Chizik at all. But at Iowa State, he went 3-9 and 2-10. His record was 5 wins and 19 losses. And then he goes to Auburn, 8-5, 14-0, 8-5 again. And then, of course, I think they let him go way too soon with a record of 3-9.
You know, one thing, there were so many questions I wanted to ask Coach Chizik, so many more, but I wanted to ask him after that national title. They were in to start the season, they were in 3 of the first 4 games or 4 of their first 5 games. They were just phenomenal games, and they had to come from behind and win or have goal line stands to win to start that next season. And I want to say they started off 4-0, 5-0, whatever it was. And then, things finally started coming apart there. And it was still an 8-4 team. It wasn't like it was a horrific season or anything.
Right.
But those teams, you could tell he was coaching his tail off. And they kept winning, and they kept winning, and they kept winning. And they lost all that talent from the year before. And here they are, and they're fighting. And I was just like, man, you could tell he was coaching hard. But, man, I would love to have a long conversation about the season after the national title.
They started off 5-2. They beat number 16 Mississippi State, lost at Clemson, and then lost to number 10 Arkansas. And then after that, it kind of went downhill from there. And that season, Heath, they would win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, all the way down to the final weekend.
I want to say they played someone like Utah State or someone to start the season.
They did.
And they were trailing, and they had this crazy fourth quarter comeback. Like, it was an insane comeback, if I'm not mistaken.
42-38.
Yeah, there you go. I want to say they were losing that game 35-10 or something going into the fourth quarter. I cannot remember, but I remember they were losing by a large amount.
Right.
And they pulled the miracle out against Utah State. And then the same thing, Mississippi State looked like they were about to run them off the field and had the ball last. And there was a questionable touchdown there at the end. And State didn't get it on the review. And it looked like the running back clearly had made the corner.
Right.
And so they had that great stand on that play.
41.
There's so many things that happened with that Auburn team to start that season the next year. And I would love to hear him talk about those first few games.
41-34 against Mississippi State.
Yeah, I want to say Chris Ralph was the quarterback, and if he would have made the pitch, Vic Ballard was the running back. Vic Ballard was the one that got to the end zone. They didn't give him the touchdown. And if he would have made that pitch to Vic Ballard could have literally moonwalked or walked on his hands and held the ball between his knees and got in the end zone. Like, there was no one on the outside.
Right.
But Chris Ruff tried to score, turned it up, got stopped there at the goal line. If he would have made that pitch, there was literally nobody within 12, 15 yards of Vic Ballard.
Right.
Yeah, he literally could have just done anything to get in the end zone.
Heath, listen to this. You go to the national championship, you win the national championship, you come back the next year. Here are your losses, Heath. Number 21 Clemson at Clemson. Number 10 Arkansas. Number 1 LSU. Number 15 Georgia. And number 2 Alabama. Those are not bad losses.
That's kind of an insane schedule to come to.
And they were all on the road.
That's wow. Let me get this straight. They had to play Bobby Petrino in Arkansas on the road. Ron Mount's quarterbacking back then, I'm sure.
Yes.
So that's hard. And then you said Alabama on the road. Who was number 2, you said?
Yeah.
And then that was the year Alabama and LSU were number 1, number 2 most of the season and played for the national title. And then number
At
one
number
LSU on the
15,
road.
Georgia. At number 15, Georgia.
And that was Mark Rick led teams that, he was averaging well over 10 wins a year.
Right.
At that
Correction.
time.
The Alabama game was at Jordan-Hare.
Okay.
Yep.
Still though, Alabama went on to win the national title that year.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's what was the final score of that Bama game?
42-14. They got blown out.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Because I
then
want to say the year before was like the Lutzenkirchen game where he did that little Irish jig dance after he scored that touchdown. The late Lutzenkirchen, who's no longer with us. There's so many things I wanted to ask, Coach. He's had several players pass away on his teams, and I mean that's so hard to deal with and coach with. And I know Lutzenkirchen had left. I want to say he was a year removed from the team.
Right.
But still, there's a lot of guys on that team that were his teammates, and that's a tough thing to go through, man. That's tough to do it just in regular life, and trying to do it with the team, and you're judged and paid on winning games, and just kind of dealing with that.
Do you see a pattern here with Auburn?
Oh, I've seen the pattern for years.
Let me explain it. Gene Chizik brought you a national championship. You go 8-5 the next year off of that schedule, and then all of a sudden you go 3-9, and during that season they fire you. See ya, bye. Then they bring in Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn takes you to a national championship game and 9 wins a year, and he has the formula to beat Nick Saban every 4th year, and that's not good enough for you, and you fire him because he's not the guy up the road in Tuscaloosa. Dude, they should have never fired Chizik. They waited too soon to do that. And they should have never let Malzahn go, because I can guarantee you right now, after the Harsin debacle and the Hugh Freeze issue, I feel like that Auburn would beg for Malzahn to be back.
Well, yeah. I mean, and Stephen, you forgot one thing. I mean, take it back to Tuberville. Went undefeated.
See, I don't
remember. They brought him out of town.
See, I didn't follow that too well. I didn't follow Auburn back then.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn goes undefeated.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, they run him out of town. Chizik comes in, goes undefeated, wins a national title. They run him out of town.
Yep.
You got Gus. He takes you to the national championship game. They run you out of town.
Yeah, and then the Harsin dude, that was
Harsin. They never gave him the chance.
Well, that was a bad hire to begin with, because that was an odd fit.
And I think a lot of coaches were kind of staying away from Auburn because they were kind of like, I mean, look what they did to Tuberville, and look what they did to, Chizik, and then look what they did to, Gus.
Right.
And I was like, if I'm a coach, like, man, they're winning at a high level, but as soon as you make one mistake or one bad season, they're running you out of town.
Yep.
And Harsin, I'll say this, man. And yeah, I'm a state grad. I'm going to admit that when I say this. But Mike Leach, when they went over there, and Auburn was up 28-3.
Yeah.
And then Leach came back and beat them. And Bo Nix got injured that game and never played another snap for Auburn after that.
Right.
Mike Leach broke Auburn that game. Broke Brian Harsin, broke Bo Nix, not physically, but although physically he did break.
Right.
But Auburn hasn't been the same since that Mike Leach game. They were up 28-3, and Mike Leach comes back and blows them out of the water.
Yeah.
And they were up by 25 points, and Leach comes back and blows them completely out of the water. And I want to say Will Rogers had some insane stat, like he completed like 19 passes in a row in the second half. I mean, it just craziness. Since that game, everyone was against Brian Harsin. Bo Nix never played another snap at Auburn, and they've
Right.
just kind of been struggling ever since. Harsin gets let go. They bring in Freeze. It never took off with Freeze. Freeze just needed a quarterback, and
Yes.
I still don't understand how that happened. Like the second year with Peyton Thorne, I still don't understand what happened with that. And then, it didn't take off for Jackson Arnold. And so I was like, oh, man. And Steve, I don't know if you heard the reports, but I heard the reports that during spring practice when Jackson Arnold transferred in, like I heard that they were telling the defense, take it easy on Jackson. He's trying to build his confidence. And I was like, oh, boy. And I was like, we're in spring practice and we're already dealing with this. Like, this is when you probably want to break him down and rebuild him. And it never got fixed. And now here they are, another coach, another quarterback, and I'm kind of like, Mike Leach broke Auburn.
Yes.
Mike Leach has been gone for 3 years, man. He's been gone for 3 years.
I tell you, man, some programs never learn, do they?
No, and I've said this forever, and I tell it to my Auburn friends and Auburn grads, and they agree with me. Until a coach comes in, look, Alabama dealt with this. We've seen Texas has been dealing with this for decades.
Yeah.
Until you get a head coach that comes in there and tells the boosters, shut up and get in line. I don't care how much money you've given. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many billions you got.
Yeah.
Shut up, get in line. This is what we're going to do. Not what you want to do, because you're not a coach. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know about a lot in your field because you've been very successful. You hired me because I was successful. Let me run the show. And I remember, man, who was it? Was it Sark a couple of years ago? Who was a defensive coordinator under Saban, and Auburn was getting ready to make a hire, and they were talking to him, and I remember that was kind of the thing that Saban's like, you've got to tell them right off the bat, this is how you're going to treat the boosters. And I remember reading that story, and I was like, everybody knows this. How does Auburn not know this? That they're the reason they're not winning. It's the boosters is the reason why you're not winning. But I'll say this. Someone brought this to my attention, Stephen, and I'll get off Auburn. I want to talk about something else. They said when everybody else had to drive the speed limit of 65 miles an hour, and here's Auburn over here going 90 miles an hour, paying players and cheating, they were winning. But now NIL's here, and we can all go 95 miles an hour together, and Auburn's not winning anymore.
Right.
And I scratched my head when they said that, and I was kind of like, wow, that's crazy. So what does Cody say there?
This transfer portal is hurting us too. This coach is getting rid of good players too. It's hurting the spirit.
Hey, listen, Cody, I agree with what you're saying, but here's one thing about the transfer portal. We talked about this on the show the other day. No one has depth anymore.
No.
Like Georgia doesn't have depth. No one has depth. And those great LSU teams, those great Bama teams, and basically any national championship team here in the past dozen years, they always had great depth behind them. And now no one has depth because of the NIL. And guess what? You're never going to get it. No one's getting this.
Right.
Kirby's trying to go that route of let's have these phenomenal high school players as our depth. We can sell them to, hey, just wait your turn and get your chance. But some of them aren't waiting. And so if they do get hurt, instead of putting in a 4 or 5 star behind them, you're putting in a true freshman or a redshirt freshman. That spells disaster. I mean, that's just insane. But I'm with you, Cody. Auburn's a great program, but until Auburn gets their boosters under control, and that means telling them, give your money and shut up.
Right.
Auburn's never going to win. They're just not. You're going to have a guy. Going to have a guy like Saban that comes in and just like, this is how we're going to do it.
Yes.
And there's not that too many coaches out there like that.
All right, Heath, it is playoff time in college football. Let's go through them. We talked about Alabama and Oklahoma yesterday, so let's begin with Miami and Texas A&M. Give me your prediction.
I think this is going to be one of the better games in the college football playoff. I have no idea who's going to win this game, but I think somewhere late in the third, early in the fourth quarter, they're going to pull away. I think it will be A&M, and whoever wins this game is going to win by multiple scores. I
Right.
really believe that. I think it'll be a 10-point or more game. It could be 30 points, but I doubt it. But whoever is going to win this game, I think they're going to pull away late third, early fourth quarter, and they're going to win by multiple scores. I think it'll be Texas A&M. You know, Stephen, the same three questions I ask every single time. Who's got the better quarterback? It's probably Miami. Who's got the better coach?
I don't
I
know.
would say A&M. Who's playing at home? A&M. Who gets 2 out of 3? A&M. That's my thought process on that. That's my thought process on every game. Who's got the better quarterback? Who's got the better coach? And who's playing at home? The first one that gets 2 out of 3, 90% of the time. I looked at the percentage of that when I broke it down, and something like 92% of the time, that's how games turn out. Is it 100%? No, it's 92. But that formula usually works really, really well. So that's where we are, man. I really like A&M. Am I just confident they're going to mow through this playoff? No, but I really like A&M, and just like we asked with Coach Chizik, no one's talking about them. No one's giving them any love. No one's putting the pressure on them, and I think that is a recipe for success for A&M.
Heath, I'm going to be Olin Buchanan for just a second. America begins with A&M, and that's all.
Amen.
And that's all I'm going to say. A&M wins.
I know I'm going to watch this game. I will say this, because who do you have to play if you win this game? The winner plays who? Is it Ohio State?
Ohio State, yes.
I'm not going to be shocked whoever wins this game. We'll save that. We'll save that for next week's show. Let's just finish this out. Let's finish out this opening round, and I'll save my thoughts for that.
All right, let's go to Tulane and Ole Miss. Rematch from earlier this year, 42-10. Ole Miss win earlier this year. Who you got in the rematch, Tulane, or do you want Ole Miss?
I think Ole Miss is going to win this game. I think this might be the biggest blowout of all the opening round games.
Right.
Could there be problems and hiccups? Yes, we all know why. But I just don't see it happening. I just think they're going to do it. But I'll say this, Stephen. Not this season, but the season before, when Tulane and Ole Miss played, Tulane was like missing their quarterback, or he got injured during the game, and like their best player, I can't remember if it was a running back or wide receiver, was out, missed that whole game, and Tulane almost beat Ole Miss.
Yes.
They didn't, though.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Tulane knows they can play with Ole Miss. Tulane knows that they can beat them. But just with the turnover at Tulane, and I know there's Tulane turnover in Oxford as well, but we'll have to see it. Hey, did you see the shirt where Tulane put out? It says Tulane versus No Lane. So I thought it was a fun shirt. Yeah, the Tulane versus No Lane game. But yeah, I got Ole Miss in this one. I think it's going to be a boring game, but I'm going to watch it.
Hotty toddy. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, there you go. Well, you look like you drink for breakfast anyway. So,
all right, Heath. Let's go to a squeaky good matchup. James Madison and Oregon.
I don't know if it's going to be squeaky good. I think it'll be a blowout. I just think Oregon's just going to do it. But I'll say this, James Madison, they have surprised a lot of teams here the last 2 or 3 years. I remember James Madison getting a lot of love. Was that last year or 2 years ago, where they were asking to be exempt so they could make the college football playoff? Was it 2 years ago? Yeah. And they wouldn't do it. I was like, man, James Madison probably never get this shot again. And here they are in the playoffs. So it's not like this program is just kind of, oh, hey, we're just happy to be here, you know. James Madison can play. They've beaten a lot of big teams and ranked teams. But this one, man, this one's big. I just see the Ducks. I see Ducks big.
I'm going James Madison.
Wow.
I am not impressed with Dan Lanning and Oregon this year. I am not impressed with Deontay Moore, the quarterback up there at Oregon. And if you guys will remember, they barely beat a 6-6 Penn State team in overtime, and then they had a 1-point win over Iowa, and they did not look crisp against USC late in the season. They've been letting teams kind of hang around, and Oregon's defense is not the Oregon defense of old. It has some cracks in the armor. I think James Madison shocks everybody, and if there is a team that has a best shot of pulling an upset from a group of five perspective, it is going to be James Madison over Oregon.
Steven, I'm going to make a quick joke and we'll move on. How many accomplishments can you tell me about the real James Madison? No one in history remembers James Madison. I always ask people that question when they talk about James Madison. It's like, hey, what great things did James Madison do? He's like a historic figure. Yeah, like what did he do? What did he like a president? I don't know. I always love bringing that up. What other game you got for us, brother?
I'm going with the upset there. And finally, tonight, we will wrap up with Alabama and Oklahoma. We did talk about this game in depth yesterday. Heath, you've had 24 hours to sleep on it. Are you still going with your pick from yesterday? Alabama, Oklahoma, who you got?
Man, the best 2 out of 3. Who has the best quarterback right now? Not earlier in the season, not the past couple of weeks. Like, who's the best quarterback right now between these two?
Mateer, because Alabama's Ty Simpson against Georgia, 51% completion percentage.
It's not like he was throwing against the bum defense, though. It was Georgia. But, all right, so Mateer, although his hand hurts tremendously all the time, it hurts even more when he throws it, you still think Mateer is a better quarterback than Ty Simpson?
Yes.
Who's the better coach? Raleigh or DeBoer?
You mean Venables?
I mean Venables. Yeah, excuse me.
DeBoer, I would say. I don't know.
All right, so you're split.
Yeah.
1-1. And who's playing at home?
The Sooners.
There you go. You got your answer.
Yeah. What about you?
I made the joke yesterday. I don't know who the better quarterback is between the two right now.
Right.
There's so many question marks around Mateer. There's so many question marks around Ty Simpson. We see what he can do, but we also can see sometimes when he has a bad day, like, whoa, what's going on here? So I'm at that's a push for me. And then, I think DeBoer's a better coach, but Oklahoma's playing at home. So I got it 1-1-1.
Yeah.
I just don't know. But it's so hard. And Coach Chizik said it. It's so hard to beat a team twice, but
Georgia did it. Georgia didn't do it.
I'm always big on trends, though. And Bama has just been on the decline all year. Or I shouldn't say all year, second half of the season.
And
he's on a decline. So
what positive?
I'm going with Oklahoma. Final answer. I'll lock it in.
What positive, and I said this yesterday, do we have from the Alabama camp right now that Alabama's offense has turned a corner since their horrible performance against Georgia? I just can't see it. I still think Alabama is putrid running the football. I think Alabama is putrid in pass protection. I think both of those come back to bite Alabama again.
They're definitely going to have to run the ball.
And
if
I
they
just don't think
don't,
they can.
if they don't, I don't understand. Daniel Hill looks so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because he doesn't know his playbook or he's not good at pass blocking or whatever, but uh, Daniel Hill, I think, has got so much upside.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the development's not there or if it's a mental block or if it's just bad coaching and like he's completely ready and they're just not using it. I don't know what's going on, is what I'm saying. Have no idea what's going on, but
Right.
I know they're not using Daniel Hill, and I know I think he's the most talented back on that team.
And
And I just don't know what's going on.
let me also say this. Oklahoma got into the backfield and sacked Ty Simpson either 4 or 5 times here in Tuscaloosa, and that was without their best defensive lineman in the game. He is back tonight and he is 100%. What does that tell you? That is more added pressure on that offensive line for Alabama. That does not bode well.
Yeah, and I really do think the ground game is important for both teams, only
Yes.
because it's going to be that wind's going to be blowing 17 miles an hour with wind gusts up to over 30 miles an hour.
Right.
Uh, I think that comes into play a little bit with passing, not a lot, but a little. But a little bit can mean an interception at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't know who that's going to affect. Nobody knows. God does, but we don't.
Right.
So, I mean, it's going to be a fun game. I think this will be a dramatic game. I think this will be a fun game. I think this game will have some craziness, some zaniness in it, just from that win factor. And I think the game could be decided from one freak play from the wind. I really do.
Heath, there are 4 ways to watch this game tonight across all of the networks on ESPN. You've got the regular telecast on ABC and ESPN. Then you've got the Skycast on the SEC network. That is the Alabama radio broadcast on ESPN2. You have the Skycast with the Oklahoma radio broadcast. And then on ESPN News, you will have the Command Center with all of the stats for you and both coaches in the small boxes on the side of the screen with the game.
I just want to watch it. Every now and again, I take that back, Steven. I take that back. Sometimes I'll watch that Skycam footage.
Yes.
It depends. I got 4 kids at my house. And today's the first day that none of them had to go to school. So they might be crazy and out of control come this weekend for the game. Or they might be played out and go to bed at 8 o'clock, which I'd be happy with. But
Right.
I might watch that Skycam footage if it's loud in my house. I do like the command center.
Yes.
And things, but I don't know. It depends on who's calling the game. I'll tell you this. I'm not a hater, Steven. I'm about to say something. I've never hated on this show, and I'm about to do it.
It's GMAC and Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy on the call.
Then I'm definitely watching the Skycam. I cannot stand either one of those guys talking.
I'm almost certain. Let me check.
Sean McDonough, I don't know what it is. I just don't like him doing play-by-play. He is excellent at his job. He wouldn't be at ESPN and calling this game if he was terrible. It's something about his voice that just drives me insane. And then McElroy is like the biggest nerd ever. And McElroy's that guy that, you could sit there and say, what's the mitochondria? Oh, it's the powerhouse of the cell. Technically, if you want to break it down, it's the powerhouse of the cell because of this, and I'm like, dude, you just said the same thing with I did with a couple of more adjectives. Just shut up, nerd. I don't know, man. I mean, look, I'm not saying I could beat Greg McElroy in an IQ contest. He'd probably destroy me. I'm not saying I'm a better football player or I know more than football than Greg McElroy. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying he bores the ever living bejesus out of me.
Okay, tonight is Fowler, Herb Street, Holly Rowe, and Laura Rutledge. And then A&M and Miami is Greg McElroy.
Oh, yeah, I'm watching. Please tell me there's Skycam for that one.
What, tomorrow? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I never hate.
Right.
But I don't know what it is about Sean McDonough. He just, I feel like he tries to over dramatize things without being dramatic. Like, I remember an example years ago. He was just like, I want to say it was Georgia at Mississippi State for a game. And he was just like, State was having a terrible season. And he was just like, this is Georgia's first road test in a very tough SEC. They have the best test there is in a very hostile environment at Mississippi. And the stadium was like 3/4 full. And I'm like, this is not a hostile environment. Everyone knows State's having a bad season and Georgia's going to blow them out. And I'm just kind of like, these hostile fans here, And I'm like, what? Are you watching the same game I am? Like, stop being dramatic because it's not dramatic. Just stop.
All right. You talked about the worst. Who is your favorite broadcast duo from ESPN? Because I've got one.
Well,
I don't even have to think about it, man.
I like Al Michaels. I don't love that. I like Al Michaels. I've always enjoyed his doing it. And I know he's in the NFL. I was listening a little bit to his game last night, Thursday Night Football. Mike Tirico, I think, is the best in the game.
I meant ESPN, man.
Yeah, I know. Brad Nessler's great on CBS. He's always fun. As far as ESPN, I like Fowler. I got to think about this one. I like Fowler. He's good. What do you got?
I always try and find the game that these guys are calling, and a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I don't care. Joe Tess and Jesse Palmer.
Joe Tess is good.
I'm a massive Jesse Palmer fan.
Joe Test is good. Let's see. You have to give me a second of my favorite, because there's so many great crews. There really is.
And by the way, Joe Tess is now doing broadcasting for World Wrestling Entertainment, and it is awesome.
I have noticed that. You know what? Who does? Let me think, Steven. I'm trying to Google it right now.
What?
Who does the SEC Network Saturday night games?
Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik.
Jordan kind of gets on my nerves a little bit, but I like Jordan. But Tom Hart, I feel like they're kind of holding him down.
Right.
I think he does such an excellent job.
Yeah.
I mean, he could take a random game with Kentucky and Florida and make it sound great.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy Tom Hart. And we've had Tom on the show a couple of times.
We have.
And Tom has told some hilarious stories.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And
but
you can't go wrong with Dave Neal.
I love Dave. I always felt like they've held Dave down a little bit. But I'll say this. It's come out to Dave Neal. Dave, if you're watching, send this clip to Dave. Dave, we want you back on the show. We had you on once. You were phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed you on the show. I thoroughly enjoy your work. But I feel like SEC Network has put Dave down, and he gets these bad games. But when there's upsets, Dave nails it 100% of the time. I just feel like Dave gets like the worst game sometimes. And whenever there's an upset, Dave shines so incredibly bright.
Yeah.
I absolutely love hearing Dave Neal call games. Just wonderful. And his father, Bob, I remember him doing the games back on TBS back in the day, and those were so fun. I was a young kid
Right.
Grade school and junior high watching those games. But yeah, Dave Neal, man. I mean, all those years with Jefferson Pilot, Lincoln Financial, calling those games, football, basketball, and he does so good at baseball.
Yes.
But huge fan of Dave Neal, massive fan. Dave, come back and join us, please.
All right. So Heath, tonight we have Alabama, Oklahoma. Then tomorrow we have Miami and Texas A&M. We've got Ole Miss versus Tulane, and then the nightcap tomorrow night is James Madison and Oregon. Now, the previous two, the two group of five schools, will be on TNT tomorrow, and then the other ones will be on the ESPN family of networks. Heath, we will see you guys on Monday morning with a fun filled Christmas episode to get you ready for the holiday next week. And then we're not doing shows for the rest of the week. So we will be doing a show on Monday morning. And then that will do it for the Stingray show for Christmas. Hope you have a wonderful weekend out there. Have a wonderful time watching college football, whether your team is in it or not. We also, Heath, have a game at 1:30 today, and it has to deal with the team that is really close to your house. NC State is playing Memphis.
Yeah, and Charles Huff, man, if you don't know who Charles Huff is going to be coaching at
Yeah,
a big time program soon. And if you don't know who Charles Huff is or you haven't followed his career, you should.
yeah.
When he was at Marshall, he upset Notre Dame. He took over Southern Miss, which was a horrifically bad program,
One win team and took them to 7-5.
and should have won a couple of more games. But it sounds like Coach Huff was interviewing for games and was a little distracted.
Right.
But it was the second biggest turnaround in college football this past year.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be at Memphis, and Memphis has been winning. And Coach Saban said about Memphis hiring Huff, he goes, that is the most perfect fit
Yes.
of this coaching cycle of Memphis getting Charles Huff. And I was like, wow, Charlie Huff is going to make this happen. So if you don't know about him, you should watch. And of course, he's not coaching this Memphis game. But watching Memphis next year, I'm telling you, Charles Huff, he might be in the SEC. He might be in the Big 12. He might be in the Big 10. He might be at Notre Dame. I don't know. But he is just making it happen at a super high level. The guy wins, and players don't love him. They love and adore the guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch out for Huff and Memphis here next season. And like I said, he's going to be in a Power 4 conference very shortly.
We did have, when we had Coach Chizik on, a little bit of shocking news that broke. I don't know if you saw it or not. Arch Manning is taking a pay cut at Texas for them to allow more players to build the team around Arch for next season.
Yeah, a lot of professional quarterbacks do that. I think they're kind of sending a message to the NFL by doing that. Arch didn't need the money.
No.
Um,
So they're backing off to push for a potential national championship run with allocating more funds to building around him rather than him by himself.
Yeah, you hear about this all the time. I mean,
No.
I don't know if Dan Marino was the first quarterback to do it, but that's the first I remember of a quarterback doing it. Dan Marino took a pay cut to pay some guys that he wanted on his team, and you've heard Dak Prescott doing it. You've heard Patrick Mahomes do it. You hear about all these guys doing it, and now you get to hear about the college kids doing it. So, Arch doing this. I said this, Stephen, and this is a side note about Arch. But when he was in high school, I said Arch Manning will be the first 8-figure player, career earnings in college. And we had a lot of people on this show disagree with me. I bet you Arch has already passed 8 figures
Right.
at Texas. I don't think it's even anywhere close now. I got a feeling he has passed 8 figures, and if not, he will next year. But I don't know if he's the first one to make 8 figures or not in a career, but I would guess that he is. But yeah, I mean, and good for him. God bless him. I'm glad someone's doing good. But
He's
but
the
yeah,
last
I'm impressed with Arch doing this.
the last thing I will say about the game tonight in the playoffs. If Alabama loses to Oklahoma again, watch immediately for the rumor mill to start up about him going to Michigan. This is a key game for DeBoer, whether he stays at Alabama or not.
Yeah, the best thing for DeBoer is Michigan making a hire sometime today.
Right,
Sooner the better.
right.
And then that could stop everything. But yeah, as long as that's open, that's going to let doubt into players' heads. And
Yeah,
we all know that fan bases are crazy and they have all these conspiracy theories that are never true.
right.
If you get a message on a message board, 99.47% of the time, it's crazy false. It's nowhere
Yeah.
close to true.
Yeah.
That's why I stay off message boards, because they're full of crap. So, yeah, if you don't believe me, I'm laughing at you and making fun of you. They're full of crap.
All right, Hayes, that is going to wrap up the fun Friday edition of the Stingray Show. This has been a fun Friday show, to say the least, talking about college sports, college football, and being joined by former Auburn head coach and national champion head coach Gene Chizik. We will see you Monday with our Christmas show, talking about the holiday season, and we will have you then. Have a wonderful weekend out there. Go and enjoy watching college football, Heath. I'm sure we will be texting back and forth, and catch you guys on Monday.
Hey, Steven, just remember, Chuck Norris, he's going to deck your halls. I got my Chuck Norris Christmas shirt. You know you love it.
I just don't understand the whole fascination by Chuck Norris.
What? What are you, communist?
Yeah, I know. And by the way, I do
I don't know
have
if I can do the show now.
I will have to say this in parting. On Sunday, I am actually going to take a couple of hours and I'm going to watch for the first time ever, because I've not seen it yet, It's a Wonderful Life.
You know, I did it a couple of years ago. It's a good movie.
Right.
It's a good movie.
All
It's
right.
not one of my favorites. I'm not watching it again, but I'm glad I did it.
All right, so guys, have a great weekend out there. Go and enjoy your college football with the playoffs that begin this evening, and we will catch you on down the line. And on down the line is Monday morning.
Steven, I'm going to go have a fried bologna sandwich. It's Fried Bologna Friday.
Heat one for me too, man.
All right, not a problem.
Christmas time and the holiday season is fastly approaching, and let me tell you about the best place to get good-looking game day gear. J&J Apparel is your trusted location for one-of-a-kind, officially licensed collegiate apparel for the following teams: Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. They have been serving those fan bases since 2004. Get it online at jnjapparel.net. Once again, that is jnjapparel.net, and there you will find unique polos, tees, and hats for Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. So head on over there now to J&J's website and get some officially licensed collegiate apparel for the fan in your life for Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Auburn through J&J Apparel. The chill is in the air, and what goes well with cold weather? Soups. The Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama, has the following soups to choose from: meaty vegetable soup, which is absolutely delicious; loaded potato soup; black bean soup; smoked ham and white bean chili; regular chili, which is another great option, or Creole gumbo. Now, the Coker Market is open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. And to find out which soups they are going to have each day, you can find out at the Coker Market's Facebook page, the Coker Market. So check out their Facebook page today to see what kind of soups that the Coker Market is going to have, and go by there and get warmed up with some of the soups there at the Coker Market. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. We all enjoy the changing of the seasons. Fall is a special time to be thankful for our families and many blessings. It is also a great time, though, to review your insurance coverages. Alpha Insurance and hometown agent Jeff Nee can help you personalize your insurance needs. The more you protect, the more you save. With helpful customer service teams right here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi, you can count on Alpha to provide the insurance plan that provides the protection that you need. For all your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call Alpha agent Jeff Nee or drop by his office at 202 McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 101 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And remember, with Jeff Nee, the more you protect, the more you save. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. You know, I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. That's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of